So can I just say, when you asked that question, my first thought was Menzies.
That's
That's the
real.
first time I found this woman.
Once again, I was like pushed into being a
There's
woman.
a good feeling to that, to becoming a wife.
Why it happened this way? How did it become such a devastating event and now be separated? Why does that make me feel like I'm less than?
So when you first heard the question, when was the first time you felt like a woman? What was kind of like, you're laughing. What was your thought process?
Because we've talked about it a couple times, and so I've like come up with a couple of different like ideas of when I feel like a woman. I think that probably the first time will probably be the first time that I engaged in activity with a male. That will probably be one. And then the second will probably be when I became a mother, specifically my second child, because she has spina bifida. So it kind of forced me to grow up. Whereas I was mature and I was doing what I needed to do as a mother, but it forced me to have to learn more compassion, and it caused me to kind of see stuff in people that I hadn't necessarily saw before. And it's forced. It was like forced maturity. Like, you got to do this, you got to plan. So that's like that. I think is probably the biggest part of when I thought I became a woman.
Did you feel like you needed, in a sense, a man to help define your womanhood?
At one point, yes, because especially growing up in an evangelical Christian community, it's like you grow up, you go to college, you meet your husband at college or wherever you meet him, or at church, you have babies, y'all be happy, and that's your life. Like, that's pretty much like growing up.
I'd already failed that. I grew up Catholic. Everything is about spawning and being a mom. I mean, that's just the way the Catholics do it. And I do it differently. Still Catholic.
So did you, like, I would say, did you feel comfortable in being defined? Like, do you felt like that was enough? And then the reason I ask that is because I have none of that. I'm not a mother. I'm not a wife. I'm not even a girlfriend right now. So it makes me, and at the same time, I feel so very womanly. You know, I don't feel like I need those things, or that those things define me at any point. Now, I'm not gonna front. When I was in a relationship, there were certain things that the guy I was with that made me feel even more like a woman, whatever that meant, or whatever that means. But I guess as it relates to being a mom and a wife, do you feel as though that there's another part of you that...
Now I do. I think that, like, depression, me and you talk about it all the time. That's a huge, big thing. And a lot of what probably brought my depression on is I was trying to fit into this cookie cutter bubble of what a mother and a wife is supposed to be, because society tells you, okay, you got to do activities, okay, nope, you're gonna be a stay-at-home mom, which is, I am like that little bubble of what a mother is supposed to be, which is opposite of actually what my mother was and how my grandmother were. But I wanted to be in that box because I didn't have that box, so I tried to fit in that box, and that box that don't fit me.
Well, getting pregnant, I got pregnant at 19 before I was even engaged. And you kind of feel like you already failed, but you feel like you failed right out of the box. I mean, you didn't even make it into the box because you didn't do it the right way, the way that you were raised or anything like that. But I don't think that made me feel less of a woman, but it didn't make me feel like I failed my family's ideals of a woman.
Right, and I quote unquote did the box. I went to school, got my degree, met the guy, got married, bought the house, had the baby. And
cute baby.
And that didn't make me feel like a woman. It was before all those things happened, and I went through a bad breakup, and I had to kind of dig myself out of it and kind of address how my mental state was and what I did during that relationship that was not healthy for me, and kind of piece together what I would want in a future relationship, not just with like another male or my family, just how I wanted to define myself as a human being. And it couldn't be going about the earth just acting crazy and just doing whatever I want and not really thinking about my mental health. And it really, that was when I felt like a woman, when I started to try to fix myself, try to be a better person, try to be a more mature person. And after I met my now husband, how I handle conflict in a relationship, that made me feel like a woman, because I went through something bad, try to build myself up, and I can see the result in a more healthy relationship.
And I think too, I'm just trying to think of the one time that I felt most like a woman. Like I'm like, oh, I'm all in my woman-esque. You can just feel it permeating off me. And I think I can maybe think about 2 or maybe 3 different times, but one, I just remember that I felt so in control of everything. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but when I say in control, meaning at any given point, I could do what I wanted to do. And it wouldn't harm or hurt, or in theory, anybody else. Like I think I was just driving down 96 and I said I can go to Chicago if I wanted. I could, stay in a hotel if I wanted. I could go buy these shoes if I wanted. I felt so in control of myself that I'm a grown woman and nobody can tell me what to do. I think I probably had Beyonce playing in the background.
I have to say, I struggle with that because I never got that. Because I had the babies, I got married. And I struggle with that now too, because you have the box that you say, and especially you look back at the 1950s wives where they stayed home with their kids and they made dinner for their husband. And I'm like, I seriously hate making dinner, number one. Number 2, I'm a worker. I'm not good at staying home. And that does plague me sometimes. Like, does this make me less of a woman because I want to do more man's work?
Quote unquote.
Exactly.
This is not man's
It's not
work.
man's work. But I have kids. And
So-
they should be my number one concern. And I'm like, but I want a career. And I want to make more money than my husband. and it's hard because I just struggle with that because that is not, quote, womanly.
Also, when I think about being a woman, for me, I really believe it comes along with how you treat other women and how you perceive other women. I know I used to be like, I didn't realize it, but I used to be so judgy. Like my friend in college, she called me out one time. I was walking down the street and she said something. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Kimmy, you're so judgy." I'm like, "No, I'm not." But I clearly was like, if you like, my name should have been by judge in the in the dictionary. But praise God, really that like He's delivered me from that. But I feel like when I was able to look at another, not just another woman, but just another human being, I think when it comes to women, we're judged so much harsher, especially among each other. But when I'm able to look at another woman and look at her actions necessarily that I wouldn't do, then I'm not judging her, but I'm more so looking for her story, because there are things that we all do for whatever reason, whether it's to get through something or whether it's a reflection of our experiences, and not to say it's bad, it just is what it is. Mm-hmm. I found myself more compassionate. I found myself like just really like listening to another person, and I also felt very, I don't even know if that's womanly, but just more like a human being in that space too.
And that's not, we talked about it, I think, yesterday, this morning, sometime or whatever, about how I was fat shamed online. And I have never in my life, someone told me I should not wear yoga pants, I should go in a cellar, like, you need to not do that. And so I was like, wait, hold on, like, who are you? Like, I've never met this person a day in my life. And I think that we all judge, but I don't think we realize how much we do it. Like, and how harsh we are on other women as far as their body, because you were even telling me some stories that you had about being slim and how people in your family or other people were actually coming for you for that. And so it's a woman problem. And then we share this stuff. We were talking before we started recording that all of these memes and things like that we're sharing, we're not realizing that it's people behind those memes and behind those pictures, and we're not necessarily thinking about the consequences of sharing that, or even what we're posting underneath that. And I think
a lot of times women don't even think of the consequences of judging each other.
Yep.
And it's something, unfortunately, I don't know why, but we all do it whether we want to or not. I mean, I can be judgy whether I want to be. I just do it sometimes. Don't think of what those consequences are going to be on that person you're judging, because you think they're not looking. Well, you just said you saw all those side glances, and that is not womanly to me, but I think it is stereotype of women.
Again, when you think about, when was the first time you felt like a woman, I think it does, as much as I don't want to say I want to deny it, but there is, for me, in terms of me being attracted to a male, there is something that comes out of me. I'll call her Lynn. but when I'm around a man, like a man that's, you know, in my league, someone I'm attracted to, you know, broad shoulders, brown skin.
I'm looking at you.
But it's a certain way.
All this.
It's a certain way that I feel and a certain way that I function, and I think I don't know if I feel more womanly, but I feel more, I can be more of myself, or just a different side of me comes out, you know, when I'm around a man that I'm attracted to.
The softer side.
Maybe.
So do you think we all
We'll call it the softer side.
you think we all have that little, as they say in back there, that femme fatale there? So do you think that that's
Listen.
part of being a woman, is
Listen.
having a little bit of that femme
Listen,
fatale? Okay.
because she done creeped up a couple times. I'm like, Cameo, if you don't sit down. It's a part, I think, of my womanhood that I don't want to deny, but I don't also want to let that define me, because people are fickle. Humans are fickle. Emotions go up and down. He could have a bad day and treat me a certain type of way, and I'm feeling some type of way about you, and vice versa. But
But on those days, you are likely to feel less like a woman. And it's funny how that, you know, I can get into arguments with my husband, and, you know, there's no attention there, and I start feeling I must be less to him. I'm not looking pretty enough. I'm not cooking dinner well enough or often enough or doing enough with the kids. Like, I feel like all my, like, superwoman, supermom needs to come out now, because I want him to pay attention. I want to feel like a woman.
Right,
Hello.
and the child comes out because you're like,
Yeah.
pay attention over here, tantrum, like.
And then you really end up acting more like a teen girl, and you're not trying to.
You don't want
that's
to,
what
but
it is.
That's what happens.
it's a shame. It's
don't put your head down.
shame.
But so do you think that's okay? I guess is the question I have, because again, coming from my perspective, like I haven't experienced, well, I like in relationships, but I definitely think it's different in marriage.
It doesn't feel okay.
But that tension of wanting to keep your husband's attention, I think that's kind of good. And I
It
think,
is.
You know,
I guess that bears the question, though. Then, you know, do you need that man to make you feel like a woman? Because, I mean, you're in a marriage. You know, you can do it on your own, but man, he's still.
But what about the
Yeah.
women that don't want to get married?
What makes
Be-
them feel like a
I
woman?
think it's
Then?
multifaceted. It's not just one thing that makes you feel like a woman. There is that side where the man does make you feel a certain way, and there's how you make yourself feel, and how you interact with other women that makes you feel like a woman. How you interact with your family, how you makes you feel like a woman. So it's not just that. I mean, it's nice to have that, but there's so many other things that can make you feel like a woman.
And even like we were talking earlier, I said, oh, I'm the baby whisperer. Like, it makes me feel a certain type of way when I can put a child to sleep. Like, it does. Like, oh, I got it. I got the, you know.
It goes away quickly.